How important do you think it would be for you to know your partner's everyday stressors? What kind of question would it be? Tell me what stresses you every day of your life. They might say, when the alarm clock goes off. Or when there's no coffee in the house. Then you buy coffee by the case. How important of a question is that? For you to know what stresses your partner. If you're going to be the shepherd, and you are a garment to each other. If I'm going to comfort you, I'm going to be your comforter. I like the word comforter because that's what we use in this country. If I'm going to be your comforter, how important is it for me to know what's stressing you? Otherwise, what kind of comforter am I? So these things are so important. Research has revealed that a very powerful predictor of relationship stability is whether couples, particularly husbands, allocate cognitive room for their relationship and for the world of their partner. This is based on 35 years of longitudinal research by non-Muslims. We need to know what our partner's likes and dislikes, what causes them stress, their favorite hobbies, their beliefs, and their fears. It is important to enhance these love maps because when life changes come and we go through various transitions, it can help keep us strong. For example, the birth of a child, a change in our job, a move, and any number of things. Couples that develop a strong friendship, couples that are really good at knowing their partners during these kinds of changes and stressors in life function better as a couple. Couples without strong love maps tend to become disconnected during stress rather than soothing each other. I want to use a very simple example. If there is a problem in my marriage, can you come up here in the room and we can demonstrate this? If there is a problem, then the thing to do is to move toward the problem. And if they're not angry, can we talk about this? Now what do most people do? Most people do this. And that's called turning away versus, let's walk together again. This is called turning toward. Okay. So, thank you. Give her a hand. So, what we should do when there is conflict in the relationship is turn toward, not turn away. Dr. Mary Johnson, who has been a marriage therapist for about 30 years, talks about marriage and the attachment theory. How many know about the attachment theory? I know that Tina does, because she's a behavioral scientist. We have a lot of stuff in common. Help them understand about attachment and detachment. Do you mind? Am I putting you on the spot?
In a marriage?
Well, tell about the children's aspect first, and then I want to...
There are healthy attachments between children and their parents, and then there's unhealthy ones. So let's say you drop a child off at school, and it's an unhealthy attachment. They might cry the entire day because the parent's not there. Maybe a child who's attached healthily to their parent, maybe would cry a little bit, but they would adjust and adapt to where they are. So marriage is kind of the same way. I mean, if you're attached to your partner in a healthy way, if you're not together, you still sense that you're there with your partner. But if they're not there and you're stressed and anxious and you don't feel like you can continue on, it's not a healthy attachment. You almost need.
Right, exactly. Clingy and needy. Right.
There you go.
Very good. So now, there was an unethical experiment by a psychologist many, many years ago. Now let me ask you something, mothers. If you have a 2- or 3-year-old and you walk out of the room and leave them, so shut the door now, what will they do?
Freak out.
Who said flip out?
Freak.
Flip out. Yeah, cry, flip out. If you have I'm asking all the mothers in the room, if you have a 2 or 3-year-old and you are in a room with them and you walk out of the room and leave them and close the door, what will those children do usually?
Naughty things.
They will cry. As mommy says, naughty things. Now, let me ask you something. What if you leave them in that room with an absolute stranger?
They'll have an anxiety attack.
That's even worse. So this therapist did that. Today it would be unethical. Yeah, it would be unethical today. He would have actually probably lost his life. But out of that, he came up with detachment anxiety. What's it called? Separation anxiety. There you go. Now, what Mary Johnson did her whole thesis on is children. Let me ask, is there any, when I say children here, I mean unmarried. Anybody unmarried up to about the age of, say, 25 or 30. How many of you actually believe that I am never going to separate from my parents? I'm going to stay with them for the rest of my life. Nobody? So the point I'm making is that it is normal for children to think, I cannot wait to the day that I have my own place.
Yes.
Right, folks?
Yes.
My own space. However, when you get married, there's something that takes place in the marriage that doesn't take place between mom and dad. I think you all know what I'm talking about. And once that takes place, the threat of losing your partner creates what? Separation anxiety. And let me tell you what it looks like. Particularly, and some of you may not like this, just go with me because this is based on research. I've said it before, I'd like you to, for the women to either reinforce it or say, not for me. For most women that I have worked with, if the husband leaves the house in the morning and slams the door, the whole day they'll say, what did I do wrong? What in the world did I do wrong? And they'll worry about it. I mean, they'll be stressed. And when the husband comes home, all he's got to do is put his head on their shoulder and then they're okay. Because they know the relationship's intact. How many women agree with me? How many women disagree with me? Only one. And that's okay. Because there are exceptions. So I want to celebrate that. But the majority of women that I work with, they tell me that. Now, let's change the scenario.
I'd be texting saying, you know, you can softly shut the door so you don't wake up the whole house.
Yeah, we know some people. You got the thing worked out, girl. You're definitely going to embrace the conflict. I know you. I love that. I admire that about you. Now, if the wife slams the door, you know what the man says?
Oh, well, she'll get over
What's her
it.
problem? She'll get over it in a few minutes. Men, how many agree with me? Raise your hand. How many men disagree with me? Just one.
Sorry, what was the question?
Two.
Yeah.
So most of us men are not as relationship oriented as women. We are more task oriented. This is what research has shown. So look at the room. Only 2 men disagreed. All the other men agreed. It's normal. There's always some exceptions. But most of the time, let me ask you this, men. Who is most affected by discord? Men or women?
Women.
Women. Yes, brother.
Men.
I think I'm going to do that. And why is that, Nelson?
Because it's true.
Because it's true.
Weak answer.
Okay. There's one in every class. We're going to say. So, couples without strong love maps tend to become disconnected. So we did an experiment a while ago, and Loren and I embraced each other. as soon as something happens, we are disconnected. When you get disconnected, what do most people do? Somebody tell me. What are the signs of disconnect?
Some might say,
Shutting the person out. Shutting the person out.
Shutting the person. I'm fed up with this. And one goes this way and the other one goes the other way. And that's called isolation. Right? Because one of them's over there and one of them's over there. The idea is to move toward. What you resist in life does what? Persist. So we have to get where we embrace conflict. And we talk about it. We move toward each other instead of away. As soon as you move away, you have separation anxiety. Male and females. Even if we pretend like we don't, as macho men. We're a little bit worried. Particularly when it comes 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and we go to bed and nobody's in the bed with us. It's a sort of funny story. When we first got married, a friend of ours came to visit, and I came out and I said, "Oh, it's time to go to bed." And the man said, "Yeah, I know." And she stayed for a while. So about 30 minutes later, I came out again and I said, "Oh, I'm in bed." And she said, "Yeah." I thought, wow. So I came out a third time, and she said, "I'll come to bed when I'm ready." And so I said, "Well, I didn't get married so I could sleep alone. I got married because I wanted somebody to snuggle with. I wanted somebody to be in the bed with me." And so it's an interesting concept. But as a man, I want to connect. So, sometimes just the passing of time can create disconnect between couples, and that is never good. So just the passing of time, the lack of connecting and making contact and having that 20 minutes a day to discuss your stressors and to sort of just reach out to each other. And when I say connect, folks, I mean connect. Because Bassam and I can have a conversation. Do you mind just talking about anything in the world, Bassam? Yeah, it is a beautiful day, isn't it? And it's sunny outside too. It is sunny outside. Are we connected? No. I'm repeating what he's saying. He's talking to me, but we're not connected. So when I talk to couples, I tell them that the way that you connect is to interpret the emotion behind what is being said. The feelings behind what is being said. In my experience as a therapist, I believe that most things that are said are not said in vain. If my wife says something to me in the car, she is making a bid toward me. Now, it's okay if you don't believe me. That's all right. If you don't even buy it. When I say something to my wife, most of the time I'd like to have a conversation. I would like for my words not to be found on death's doorstep. How many feel connected if I say, "Well, hi, how are you, Brother Bassam?" And he says, "Knock, knock. Is anybody there?" Are you with me? Surah 30. He has put between you muwaddah and rahmah. In that are signs for those who reflect. Muwaddah. Oh, I'm not even using the slides yet. Thank you, brother. Muwaddah is a love and a yearning, a pining for, that is a category all to itself, that you choose for your soulmate. The word mu in the front of a verb in Arabic does what to it? Anybody? Well, I'm gonna test you here. Sing la mim, it means what?
salam.
Salam. The doer of salam is the what?
Muslim.
Muslim. So what happens when you put a mu in front of sin lam mim?
He's a doer.
You become a doer. Whoever said that gets 10 bonus points. So to turn a verb into a noun, you put mu in front of it. So we call the adhan, the person that calls the adhan is the muadhin. So to muwadda someone is the one who actually demonstrates their love for the other person. So this muwadda part is what we put in. We actually demonstrate our love for our partner by turning toward them, by knowing their stressors, by understanding their life, by understanding their history. Because that's really who you are. Is there anyone here that's not who their history is? So for me to muwadda means that I'm actually actively involved in this. And then Allah puts the rahmah, the mercy, on top of that. So Allah is the rahmah part, and we are the muwadda part. You have to develop a pining love for the person that Allah has put out there for you as your soulmate. And the second step for that is to develop a culture of fondness and admiration. So I tell my couple, I give them an adjective list. May Allah forgive me, I don't know if it has 42 or 62 adjectives on it. And I tell them, put this on your refrigerator. And every single day, look at it and find an adjective that is applicable to your partner. So for example, you are brave. So Tina can't just say to Bassem, Bassem, I really appreciate and admire the fact that you're brave, and drop it. She has to say, Bassem, Habibi, you are so brave. And that was demonstrated the other night when we had that flat tire on our Ford. And you didn't want us to get out of the car, but with valor and chivalry, you got out and changed the tire all on your own.
Please tell me.
It has to be quantified. Yeah, Bassem would do that. So you have to quantify it. Otherwise, I don't know if you're not just flattering me. How many people believe it's important to purposefully develop a culture of fondness and admiration in a marriage? Already disagree with me.
Can you repeat that, please?
I don't get your, like,
Alright, part of
purposefully develop a fondness and
a
admiration.
culture of fondness and
When you
admiration.
don't have fondness and admiration for your partner?
Well, do you have fondness and admiration if you don't know a person? Typically.
Sure, like nowadays that people know each other through social media and stuff, they're called friends, quote unquote, and they have...
The context of this is about
Marriage.
marriage.
This is not a social media, thank you.
Okay?
He's switching.
I have to say one thing though, Imam,
Yes,
like,
please.
I
including
think
my husband.
fondness and admiration comes from practice and living with each other and developing it over a period of time. You can't just purposefully build fondness and admiration in a relationship.
Absolutely, you have
Well,
to.
hold on a minute now. What is muwadda? It's to do.
You have to, it's got to be
To
an
do it. So the way that, one of the ways that I have couples do it is to consciously, every single day, look for something in their partner that they appreciate and express it.
I think it's not that easy for men, including, I was going to say my husband.
Well,
It makes them feel like they're out of their comfort zone, you know, they're just doers, they're not speakers, so it's like, you know, I'm acting. It's almost like a fake feeling for them.
and the point you're making, sister, goes back to what I said before. Because we as men are not as relationship oriented, we are more task oriented. You are 100% correct. However, I'm teaching my sisters how to be proactive. So if I was a woman and I was being sought after by a man, I would say, now let me tell you something, buddy. One of the things we're going to have in our marriage is a culture of fondness and admiration. And I expect that on a daily basis you'll express your appreciation for me. Now, how often did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam compliment the Sahaba? Let me tell you what I don't get, folks. Over and over and over in ahadith, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam highly praises various companions.
What about his wife?
Right.
And really praised his wives. Who said that? That's it. MashaAllah, exactly.
I said that.
Highly praised his wives.
Yeah.
He called them crystal. Yes, sister.
I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true or not, but just because nothing he did was impractical. He was a very intelligent man.
Yes.
There's no doubt in my mind about that. Every one of his Sahabas thought that they were his favorites. That's how much compassion he showed to each of them and admiration, that secretly they thought I'm his favorite, I'm his favorite. They all thought that.
And so the moral of Sadia's story is that if you have 4 wives, they all think you're the favorite. Just kidding. I just saw daggers come out of her eyes. And you don't mind if I have a little fun with you, right? That one wasn't fun, right? I got that real good. Look at Oscar, he's so happy over there. You got stuck with that one, aren't you, brother? Do you see what I'm saying about mawaddah? A yearning, pining love, does it just happen automatically? How many people here work for a company that does not have a culture or a vision or a mission statement? Every company in America that is anything has a cultural statement. This is what we want people to feel when they walk in here. Every company that's in the top 500 has a vision and mission statement. So why don't we have one for our marriage? I'll write with you just a minute, brother. I want to finish this thought. Why don't we think it's important to have the same thing in the very foundational tool of building the Islamic society?
It's not.
It's because somebody didn't have the wisdom to say to their children, what's going to be the vision for your marriage? What is the legacy that you want to leave behind in your marriage? Now, somebody, yes, Ibrahim, sorry.
I understand the vision and mission statement in a business, but when you mean by culture, do you mean by just standards? Or just...
Well, do we have any MBAs in here? Okay. Typically, a culture is what you experience in a place. So, for example, when you walk into certain businesses, they will say the culture of our business is quality and reassurance.
Walk into Publix and then walk into a Walmart.
That's
Right. It's a perfect example. When you walk into Publix, what is the culture that you experience?
Warm and friendly welcome.
Customer service.
Yeah.
Great customer
Good
service.
to their employees
They're all
seem
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Their employees are actually happy to be there.
They're diverse. They have a diverse.
Now, if you look at Walmart, the employees all know they'll never get full time. They'll never get enough hours to pay their bills. They're not happy. They're constantly picketing. And if you try to find something, good luck.
And they'll be like, over there.
You get the culture now.
Yes.
So what is the culture? So let's talk about this. Now, I have a module in my marriage work that I do about who's going to do what. Who's going to change the oil? Who's going to plan the vacation? Who's going to pay the bill? Everything is discussed in advance. It's called negotiating power. Now, is it better to do that before or after the fact? Before the fact.
And I know.
You and me both, baby.
If you had known me then, I'd probably be retired, wouldn't I?
I'll be single too now, happily ever.
So, to what is someone is to have, to develop a yearning, longing affection, a pining love, desire, and thirst for them. It is a love with a special status, a category all to itself. We develop these conditions with purpose. Islam is a religion built on what? Triliteral verbs. Right? Every Muslim word has a triliteral root. There's a few of them that have a quadrilateral and 5. But for the most part, almost every single word in the Arabic language is built on triliteral root. It's a verb. It's a verb-based religion. It's a religion based on doing. Not talking, but doing. We have a lot of talking, but actually implementing. It's a religion of implementation. He created us in different tribes so that we would get to identify with each other. I identify with you, my dear. I understand what you feel. I can see that. I can hear that. Not despise one another. I meet couples that have actually developed, instead of a muwaddah, they have developed a despising of each other. I actually have people come in my office and say, I hate his guts. I hate her guts. I wished I had never seen them.
But if they're there, because there's still some love in it, so they can understand.
But the fact that they're there means that there's still some passion. I'm willing to fight for this. Even though I have gone into isolation, the isolated cascade, there's something, I love this person enough, I want to fight for it.
Kudos. Kudos to them.
Surah 49 verse 13. Lo, the noblest in the sight of Allah is the best in conduct. We created you from a single pair, a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes that you may know each other. Now, if He created the nations and tribes that we may know each other, how much more do you think He wants us to know our spouse? How can you muwaddah someone if you don't really know them? It troubles me when a man or a woman says to me, I don't understand them. Well, my question is, how hard did you try? Have you asked any questions? How much time have you spent trying to understand? We need to know the cast of characters in our partner's life.
What?
The cast of characters. In other words, if I was going to meet someone that I wanted to marry, and obviously I'm talking about before 30 years ago, if I had had this advice, one of the questions I would have said to the person is, who is the most important person in your life? Why? What are the qualities about that person that you're attracted to? Now let me ask you something, folks. How much would that teach me about the person that I'm thinking about marriage to? That's a big question, right? But if I'm just looking at her and saying, oh, you're so pretty, I can't wait, oh, tell me something. And we get just talking about all this mushy stuff with no content. It's not developing relationship. It's lost in emotion. And it's not what the Quran says to do. It's not getting to know them. It's me telling them how pretty I think they are. How does that help me get to know anybody?
So when you talk about marriage in Islam, the courtship is to get to know whoever
The courtship
is that the person that you're going to be married to, to spend the rest of your life with, to see if everything fits in their love match.
That's the whole idea.
Or make, we have to make sacrifices, but not give in,
Right.
just because they love you and that's it.
We will later on talk about whenever you were reaching out to a suitor, if something came up that you were conflicted about, how you would discuss that. Not today, but later. We need to know what is stressing our partner, and we need to know our partner's favorite food and color.
I have one person that ever came to me and said, I want to understand you so I can be a better person and I can be a better friend to you. I could not speak because I never heard that. I never
Right.
had anybody come to me, and I was shocked, could not speak. because
Does
it's a very
anybody-
hard thing
Sorry,
to answer.
I thought you were finished.
No.
Did everybody hear Deborah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Repeat it again, because some people didn't hear you. You don't.
I have one person only in my life that came to me as a friend, not a husband, friend, said, I want to understand what made you get so mad at me so I can be a better person and be a better friend to you. I could not speak, and you know me, I can speak. I could not speak because I did not know how to answer to that question, how to cope with the situation, because
It was
it's
foreign.
very rare.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be a friend with this person for the rest of my life because it's getting to know and getting to see how I am to be a better person.
How many of you have a friend that you do not know?
They're not
I
friends.
wouldn't call them my friend.
I know, right?
Say that again, Tina.
I wouldn't call them my friend.
I would not call them my friend.
It's an acquaintance.
Let me tell you something, folks, and I'm sorry my wife's not in here right now. The greatest friend that I have ever had in my life is my wife.
I can record him.
I have
Said
never
it many times here.
Ever
Said my-
had a friend in my life like my wife.
Man, I'm gonna walk out of this place, man.
It's not the only person I can count on. If you can count on that person, who are you going to count? Maybe
Now-
your neighbor?
Exactly. So how important do you think what we've talked about today is?
So important. It's
It's
critical.
vital. It's fundamental, folks. And we have to coach our people into this. So, what do you appreciate about each other? What are the positive aspects of your partner's personality? What are your partner's strengths? Whoever, and this is some hadiths to back up what I said. Whoever is not thankful to the people, then he is not thankful to Allah. So I could change that and say, whoever is not thankful to their wife is not thankful to Allah. Whoever is not thankful to their husband is not thankful to Allah. Kind words and the covering of faults are better than charity followed by injury. You know, after you've blown it, it's sort of hard to, after you've injured somebody, it's sort of hard to fix it, right? Whoever is kind to Allah's creatures, Allah is kind to him. Therefore be kind to man on earth. Friendship and the positive effect that naturally flows from it are major accomplishments achieved by couples in happy, stable marriages. Unfortunately, it is difficult to create positive affect in a distressed marriage that has lost it. And some of us know about that. We've been there. It is fundamental that couples respect each other and have a general positive view of each other. Fondness and admiration are two of the most important elements in a satisfying and long-term relationship. If you can't revive these elements, your marriage will not be saved. So, I want to see if there's any sharing before we wrap it up, because the prayer comes in at 1:45 today, right?
I believe so.
Is that right, Ibrahim?
I thought at first they said like 2:15 or something.
2:15, yeah, I know it's very late. So we've got a few minutes till 1 o'clock. Anybody like to share or ask any questions?